Bitcoin is the best performer when there's more fiat sloshing around in the system because it's the scarcest thing. It absorbs fiat liquidity the best because it can't expand. You can't make the 22nd million Bitcoin. And so for that very simple reason, I think Bitcoin's going to perform. Now, my 500,000, I'm on record of 250,000 to a million. I know that's a wide range, but I don't know. Whatever. That was my prediction a few years ago. I would say at some point in 2026, I think we reach there. And then if the market slows down a bit, maybe corrects, we'll have to see. But I'm not a believer in like the 4-year. I think Bitcoin reacts to global liquidity. And we haven't seen anything yet when it comes to global liquidity.
Bitcoin's crash to $100,000 in hours proved, as monetary reformer Jack Mallers says, it's the ultimate truth machine for global liquidity. He highlighted how during times of panic, such as the recent sell-off that caused Bitcoin to fall from $120,000 to $100,000 within 12 hours, it leads other markets in signaling stress. According to him, the nearly $20 billion in liquidations that occurred marked the largest event in crypto history, far surpassing previous crises like the COVID crash or the FTX collapse. For Mallers, this reinforces Bitcoin's role as both a leading indicator and the best-performing asset in modern financial history. He emphasized that the United States' recent decision to print dollars to fund Argentina using the Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund reflects the growing desperation to secure real assets. In his view, this is a form of currency debasement that underscores the end of the post-1971 monetary era. The U.S., he argued, must re-industrialize and secure allies with natural resources because its economy is currently too dependent on financial engineering and technology. Mallers suggested that if the U.S. is already willing to print money to obtain commodities, it is not far-fetched to imagine that it could one day print dollars to buy Bitcoin as well. Mallers pointing out that gold and Bitcoin are already winning against fiat currencies. He noted that gold has outperformed stocks when measured properly, while Bitcoin has massively outpaced gold itself in performance. To Mallers, the trend is irreversible. Fiat currencies continue to lose value, while real assets like gold and Bitcoin are positioned to dominate the financial future. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated.
Down, Bitcoin
we'll
down.
continue delivering sharp
Bitcoin
insights and expert perspectives on the
accurate
broader
gauge
financial
on liquidity.
landscape. Thanks for
Bitcoin
watching.
Is the smoke alarm. And it goes both ways. That means over the last 15 years, it's been the best performing asset in human history, bar none. I don't give a shit what early startup you were a part of, what gold your dad gave you as part of your inheritance plan. It doesn't matter. No one has outperformed Bitcoin, and it's for that reason. But that also means on the downside, when markets are in turmoil on a Friday night, Bitcoin's the only 24/7 free market at significant scale globally that everyone has access to. And so Bitcoin to me is the ultimate truth machine. There is no other market open 24/7, accessible to everyone, and truly free. It is a truth machine. And so you saw markets across the board freak out, start to print red, and you saw Bitcoin lead to the downside because the world started to ensue panic. Now, here we go. Look at that. Look at that candle. That's a 12-hour candle. So Bitcoin went from over $120,000 to around $100,000 was the low it printed in a 12-hour time span. Insane. For context, this was the biggest liquidation in the crypto market's history. And we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, you guys know Bitcoin, there is no second best. But for context, the COVID crash was over $1 billion in liquidations. When Sam Bankman-Fried stole $10 billion from everybody, there was a little over $1 billion in liquidations. On Friday, there was almost $20 billion in liquidations across the cryptocurrency sector. That is the biggest liquidation event in this industry by far, in order of magnitude bigger, 20 times as big almost as other massive events in this space, just for context. Now, the interesting thing about this with Argentina that I want Bitcoiners to understand is this. If the United States is willing to do this, what else are they willing to do? That's the signal. What Bitcoiners are missing, the government told us they'd buy Bitcoin and they bought Argentine pesos. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. That's a fun headline, and I know it gets the Bitcoiners wound up, and you're not wrong. But what's actually happening here is the United States has to re-industrialize like our life depends on it. We are so short on natural commodities that we need to produce real stuff. We don't have fuck all in this country right now. All we have is a bunch of people in San Francisco making technology and a bunch of people on Wall Street making financial products. That's all we have. And so we have to reindustrialize. And so the ultimate priority at this very moment in time for the United States is to get their hands on allies that have the real stuff. That's what this was. Now, the fact that the United States went through the U.S. Treasury, not the central bank, not the Fed, this wasn't a swap line, the U.S. Treasury used the exchange stabilization fund to give Argentina $20 billion. We're literally printing dollars to get real stuff. That is currency debasement. All of a sudden, it's not that far-fetched for me to think that the United States won't print money to buy Bitcoin. The United States is telling you through their actions where we are at in the post-$71 era, that it's ending. We are literally printing money to get our hands on real stuff. What do you guys think is worth more? The printed shit or the real stuff? Commodities or fiat? Bitcoin or dollars? It's a very, very simple, you just have to watch what they're doing. Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. Like, this thing can go forever. These things, we've already won. You guys think the dollar's fucked? Shout out to my people in Europe. The euro is more fucked than the dollar. The yen is more fucked than the euro. The pound went from world reserve to absolutely irrelevant. Buy gold, buy Bitcoin. So simple. I could not agree with this tweet more. What if stock market gains were measured in gold instead of dollars? As John Authors notes, denominated U.S. stocks in gold rather than dollars, and they've been... Guys, we've already won. Gold has now been outperforming the stock market, and Bitcoin's been beating the shit out of gold. Gold's performed 112% over the last 5 years. Bitcoin almost 1,000%. We've already won. The world just hasn't realized yet. The debasement trade is in overdrive. Gold has recently climbed much faster than global liquidity, a clear sign of growing mistrust in the monetary system. A clear sign that the post-$71 is dead. Finito. Goodbye. Rest. More room to run. The primary driver is the ongoing effort by some central banks to diversify their reserves holdings and reduce their reliance on the US dollar. Guys, it's happening in real time, and we saw our first massive sovereign wealth fund, our first massive country purchase in a while into Bitcoin. I've said it before. Gold is just much bigger than Bitcoin. It has a lot more history than Bitcoin. So why are central banks not buying gold? For that very reason. But why are they not buying Bitcoin? They're not buying Bitcoin yet. It's not they will never buy Bitcoin. It's yet. Why aren't countries buying Bitcoin? Why aren't central banks buying Bitcoin? Because it's too small. Because they don't know how to custody it. Because they don't know how to do it. But they're working on it. And this was just in over the last week. Luxembourg's sovereign wealth fund allocated 1% of its $900 million portfolio, so about $9 million to Bitcoin ETFs. It's coming.
Jack Mallers explained that Strike continues to hold a massive Bitcoin position of around $5 billion in escrow, making it the third largest corporate holder worldwide. He stressed that unlike other platforms, Strike operates with stability and transparency. During the recent market crash and record liquidations across the crypto sector, the company did not issue a single margin call or liquidation. According to him, this is because Strike doesn't engage in reckless leverage or speculative practices. Instead, it offers simple Bitcoin-backed financial services with reasonable loan-to-value ratios, allowing customers to use their Bitcoin responsibly for real-life needs like buying a home or paying off debt. Reflecting on the broader market turmoil, Mallers dismissed the idea of manipulation and instead attributed Bitcoin's steep moves to geopolitical uncertainty, particularly former President Trump's threat of a trade war with China. Since Bitcoin is the scarcest asset with a fixed supply, it will continue to absorb excess liquidity and outperform. Standing by his bold forecast, he reiterated that Bitcoin could reach between $250,000 and $1 million by 2026, driven not by speculative cycles but by the inevitable debasement of fiat currencies. Let's get back to the interview.
We continue to own our pile of Bitcoin. You know, one of the things that makes us different than a lot of these other companies is we've already purchased the Bitcoin held in escrow. So, you know, with the current dips, and I don't know what Bitcoin's at, call it we hold around $5 billion of Bitcoin in escrow, which is a tremendous amount, the third largest corporate holdings in the world. And as I've said, we are very excited for the operating businesses that we plan to launch and that I want to tell you guys about with a focus on cash flow and Bitcoin as soon as I'm allowed to. But for everyone, like, when XXI? As soon as the SEC is back. But with the government being closed, there's only so much I could do. I mean, I'm laughing because if not, I'd cry. And strike. All right. Let's go. Great topic. So obviously, being the founder and the CEO of a global Bitcoin brokerage during Bitcoin's like most intense collapse and margin calls and everyone freaking out. And, you know, we had launched our lending product. So we have tons of customers that have borrowed money from us with Bitcoin as collateral. So first I want to just report this. People were like, oh, how many times did Strike margin call someone? How many liquidations did Strike do? 0. No liquidations, not even a margin call. And there's a few reasons for that. One, our platform is legit. We are not a shitcoin casino. We are not a tiny little startup that's just getting started. We are one of the biggest Bitcoin companies in the world. We might be the most profitable per employee Bitcoin company in the world, like focused on Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin financial services. None of these shitcoin things, none of these other, like, we just sell Bitcoiners, Bitcoin financial services, extremely profitable. We operate at a massive scale. We are built to last. And so people can rely on Strike and know that our focus, our engineering, our product, we're in the right place. Everything operates tremendously well. So that's one. Two, a 10 to 20% dip is not enough to trigger a liquidation on a 50% LTV Bitcoin-backed loan. Okay, the market's got to move much more than that. And so we don't offer our customers 100x leverage, 50x leverage. You know, you can take out, if you have $100,000 of Bitcoin, you can take out $50,000 in cash on a loan with us. Okay. So this is not severely over leveraged customers. Our customers are using this to either acquire more Bitcoin or to do things in their life, like buy a house, pay off an old debt, pay off their student loans, right? And then the third is that this is a fun fact to share publicly. Do I think the market was manipulated? No, I don't. I think that Trump threatened to go to a severe trade war with China that would throw us into a massive recession and crash all financial markets everywhere. And then, as we know him to do, 24 hours later, he walked it back. But that's what happened. And if Bitcoin didn't go down like it did, I would have been sad, because I know Bitcoin to be the global liquidity vehicle. It's the truth machine. When shit goes down, whether good or bad, you can rely on Bitcoin. It works. And so Bitcoin worked. Trump bluffed a massive trade war, and Bitcoin did what it did best. Told the truth. Said, uh-oh, bad. Real bad. So, no, I don't think it was manipulated. They got to print the money is number one. Number two, they got to print the money. Number three, they got to print the money. It's because the dollar has to go down. They have to print so much money. It's what we talked about on this show in many different angles, whether it's through AI, whether it's through re-industrialization, whether it's through financing our own Treasury market. They have to print the money. And Bitcoin is the best performer when there's more fiat sloshing around in the system, because it's the scarcest thing. It absorbs fiat liquidity the best because it can't expand. You can't make the 22nd million Bitcoin. And so for that very simple reason, I think Bitcoin's going to perform. Now, my 500,000, I'm on record of 250,000 to a million. I know that's a wide range, but I don't know. Whatever. That was my prediction a few years ago. I would say at some point in 2026, I think we reach there. And then if the market slows down a bit, maybe corrects, we'll have to see. But I'm not a believer in like the 4-year. I think Bitcoin reacts to global liquidity. And we haven't seen anything yet when it comes to global liquidity. Trump has midterms coming up. Politicians are going to politic. And I expect a lot of money to be printed because at the end of the day, I mean, we're witnessing it. Like if China doesn't want us to do something, we don't do it. That's not going to last here in the United States. We're going to re-industrialize. We got to get to work. AI, data centers, factories. We got to build shit. And that costs money. So that's why. I think the dollar's got to go down. I think Bitcoin and gold got to go way up.
The trajectory ahead points to a financial system increasingly reliant on money printing to sustain growth, debt, and re-industrialization, while Bitcoin stands firm as the scarce alternative that cannot be inflated away. Its role as a global liquidity signal has already been proven in times of crisis, and with corporate holdings growing, financial services maturing, and institutional adoption beginning to take shape, it is positioned as the ultimate absorber of fiat debasement. The outlook suggests that as currencies weaken and governments print endlessly, Bitcoin's value proposition will only strengthen, making higher valuations not a question of if, but when. What key factors could accelerate Bitcoin's move toward becoming a mainstream reserve asset for both corporations and sovereign nations? So, stay tuned for clear, data-driven insights into the financial system. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss our weekly updates. Thank you for your continued support, and we hope you enjoy the video.